hi everyone, and welcome to Tact and Diplomacy, a brand new campaign in a brand new system. We'll go round and introduce everyone. First, I'll put the opening links in chat. We'll do that. So please check out all of these links, all the places you can find us, find our community and interact with us, find our sponsors, Mage Hand Press and Bird and the Storm Publishing. Please check out all of those wonderful things. We'll go around and talk about who we are and who we'll be playing today. Before we get started, I'm going to talk a little bit about the system that we'll be using. Sound is off, music is super loud and can't hear the voice. Thank you. OBS seems to be lying to me. Oh, I also have that a little bit lower usually. How does that sound now? I hope that sounds better. So yeah, we'll go round. We will... False, everything sounds great? Oh, okay. Well, I've changed it a little bit. Hopefully that's good for you all. We'll go around, we'll say who we are, what we do, and who we'll be playing. Then I'm going to talk a little bit about the system before we actually plunge into it, because there's some new things. It's quite a... It was my headphone jack. Sammy! Bless her. Thank you anyway, Sammy. We knew you meant well. Let's go round. Let's go clockwise around the screen and start with that Kayla person, just as they take a sip from their mug. Kayla!
Oh,
hi.
Oh, hi. Hi, I'm that Kayla person. Nice to meet you. It's good being back again. I'm just here to have a good time. I'm going to be playing Reese. He is pretty much a big, giant woodsman who just hunts. But that's a good time. He's totally okay and great.
Wow, looks like I might have to post that warning earlier than I thought. Next around... Next around, we welcome A. Kelly Lane. Oh, hi.
Hi, I'm Kelly, A. Kelly Lane on Twitter, A. Kelly in chat. You can find me here on Mondays this season. That's about it so far. You can also find me editing things for DM's Guild, specifically for Uncaged and for Friends, Foes, and Other Fine Folks, which launched about 45 minutes ago. So
I saw that!
Yes, it was a surprise launch. We got the proof it all looked good, so we pressed the button. It was very exciting. So go check all of that out. I've got writing on DM's Guild coming out later this fall. That's it. That's me.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Next around, we have Mackenzie Lane.
Wait, Kelly, did you say who you were playing?
Oh, yeah. Oops.
No. I forgot the thing. The most important thing, I'm playing Eris today, who has a lot of internal moodiness, but she's a fairly direct, straightforward kind of gal. So I'm excited to see what happens when we actually get to play around with her some today.
I love it. Thank you. Then Mackenzie. Thank you, Mackenzie.
Hi. Yeah. No, I love the preview I've gotten of Eris. I was like, okay, we gotta talk about her. But anyways, hi, I'm Mackenzie Lane Day on Twitter. You can call me Mac. I stream. I'm gonna be here every Monday, and I also will be DMing over on this channel over tomorrow on Tuesdays at 10 p.m. EST. It is an American Gods themed D&D 5e campaign. I'm super excited, and I'm also totally nervous. It's fine. I also write and publish stuff on DM's Guild. My module I've been is going to be part of the RPG Writers Workshop Volume 2 bundle, which releases tomorrow, I think. So that's super exciting. Today I will be playing Kaiden Hale. His pronouns are actually he, they. The overlay's wrong for this week. But he is a blacksmith apprentice who likes finding pretty rocks and making them into little trinkets and braiding them into his hair. And he's a sweet boy. That's basically all I got.
Sweet, sweet boy, of course.
Boy.
Last but most certainly not least, D&D and Paige. Oh, hi.
Oh, hello. I am Paige, known as D&D and Paige on Twitter. And I'm so excited for this game and playing with these people. And I am playing a little buttercup a young Demorthan's apprentice named Eleanor, and I'm really excited because her heart and her mind often are at war. But she's a sweet pea, so I'm excited to play a sweet character this time.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. So before we launch into the game, there's a couple of things we need to discuss with you all. First of all, this game is a little different than your classic RPGs. The main feature being that agency is kind of removed from the players a bit and granted to the DM to create surprise emotions, unwanted emotions, unexpected emotions, and others. It does have a sanity system, which we probably won't discuss much out of narrative, so you guys don't need to worry about it, but you may, there may be things that seem rather real. I'm literally, the quote I've just put in chat is taken straight from the book. Although it is strongly inspired by real psychopathology, the sanity of this system was printed. This game was developed for this system. It was developed by a therapist and psychopathologist, which is why sometimes it feels incredibly close to home, but there we go. Also, content warning for all of you guys in chat. There's a lot of things in this game which could be potentially triggering, so here are your trigger warnings. We've got mania and insanity, eating disorder, unexpected/unwanted emotions, gore, plague, and death to fit any medieval system. Like I say, the agency for emotions is taken away from the players a little, and the leader will drive those, although I won't drive actions at any point. With that said and done, I'm excited to get into our Shadows of Esteren campaign, Tact and Diplomacy. We find ourselves in the mountains, in the peninsula, where three kingdoms meet. Guida, Rise, and Talkir. These three kingdoms, they've been around, they're about a century old in history, divided by three brothers who formed clans a long time ago. We find ourselves in the Morroim, or in the old language, the Highlands, or very close to it at least, sort of the edge, in a small village, where we find lots of people who are, wrapped in thick tartans, lots of wool knits to face the harsh weather. And this village is quite small. We'll say maybe the village itself perhaps has an inn that would have 1 or 2 rooms to keep the occasional traveller. There would be a smithy who also acts as farrier, a thatcher, a fletcher, but probably we're looking at a population of maximum 50 people, and we'll pick and add those as we go. I would like to start as we follow Eleanor. Seamus Kadan has invited you to go and take a lesson with him today. He walks you a little way out of the village, Eleanor, towards one of the standing circle stones. He's surprisingly quiet, a gnarled old man. He sort of leans forward, his ginger hair going grey, a rarity in these times. He has aged beyond most people's years. His whole body seems to stoop, and he walks with a gnarled cane, the gnarled branch perhaps resenting his own gnarled body. It's not so much of a limp as a hop that he has affected as he walks. And he's one of the few people in the village that doesn't wear tartans or thick fabrics. Instead, he wears a singular robe with a small like stone with a hole in it that's looped around his neck. This being one of the first things probably would have learnt, is one of the tokens of the Demorphan that are said to give them power. But he's strangely quiet today as he walks with you.
Seamus, I don't really understand. Why did you take me all the way up here?
Today, Missy, we learn about magic
And you gotta learn about magic and magical places.
Yeah, but there's a little bit further up for you, you know? You got... I already bet you're really quite old. I hate to break it to you.
I'm as fit as a fiddle.
Alright, I mean, if you need a little hand or a little elbow, no one's around to see, I can always help you out.
I got my stick, that's all I need. Come on now. As he sort of like navigates a babbling brook.
Alright. I get what's the lesson today?
The triad. The triad of magic. And magic that don't belong in the triad too. It sort of approaches a small clearing where you can see some stones, or more like monoliths, really, that are standing each on end, some of them with a hole in the top, others without, that form a circle. Aye, breathe it in! Can you feel it here? And sure enough, there's something about this glade that just feels a little calmer. It's almost as though being in the standing stones mutes the sounds around you a little bit.
But Seamus, what makes this spot so special?
The magic still touches this place. It was protected long ago by people wiser than I, and wiser than you'll ever be.
I'll believe that, but I guess how do I access it?
That's a personal thing. I can't help you with that. I can't do it. But I can tell you what they are and who they are. Names gives you power, you know. Knowing the names. That'll help you when you're trying to learn.
Alright.
Well, first, you might know the Morroim, the Highlands, right?
Aye.
Well, the first of the magics is Roim. Earth. The land itself that gives shape. It's the magic of creation. Aye, when you get to your first birthing, you'll feel Roim awful strong there.
I don't know if that's the only thing I'll be feeling real strong, Seamus.
I don't mean your own birthing, lassie. I mean when you're attending one. You know Demorphin have to be at every birthing. Otherwise the life doesn't have a guide for its mortal soul.
Yeah, I've been kind of forewarned about it, but I'm a little nervous about that one. It's a little bit more in depth.
It comes with time. I was nervous for my first few too. You know, being in a lady's bedroom at such a time, it's a very strange feeling, if we're being very honest. Anyway, Vroim makes up the first part of the Trinity. It gives shape, a vessel for the other things to pass through. Your next is Adar. Adar is the air, and it represents passing and fading. Without Adar, the sun wouldn't rise or set, and the seasons wouldn't change. It helps things move on. It keeps the cycle moving.
Alright, and what's the third one, Seamus?
Uskard! This one you know very well. Water and feeding gives things energy. All of the crops you eat, they're full of it, full of water, full of Uskard. These three things, they came together long, long ago, over 1,000 years, right? To form the life tree. Koran Rin, we call it. The central axis of the world. Its roots go deep to the core, and its branches brush up high against the dome of stars. Feeding the core, letting the winds pass through its branches. These three things are what creates life, what gives us all shape. Can you feel them?
I can feel something, but it might just be today's breakfast. I don't know if there's a big old tree anywhere in the world, Seamus, but do you think it actually exists?
I can't answer that for you now, can I? Because as a Demorphin, when you're stopped being my apprentice, you're gonna have to go and find things out for yourself. You don't get to stay in the village all the time, you know. You've got to go and be travelled, otherwise you cannot be a real Demorphin. You gotta go and find the magic. You gotta go and wrestle with it, tame it, make it yours. But don't do that too much, because also let it shape you as it was meant to be.
Alright, it sounded a little bit like a stone in a river, but yeah. Be the stone. Right.
Anyway, these three things make Rindrath. Right? That's the energy that you will learn to harness. And when you get your own stone, you'll know when. It's the Rindrath that you access to make it work. And he touches the stone for a second and sort of like focuses, and things go still. And when he closes his hand and when he opens it again, there is a very, very small formation in his hand. It's a small stone that sort of looks like a crystalline flower. Now, there's no power in this yet, but you can take it as proof of the magic if you wish. Don't tell anyone I made it, though.
Alright, I think it's quite beautiful, but I kind of look at it and see if I can put it in my like pocket or something if it's not so cumbersome enough.
As you try to move it, it breaks and crumbles. Ah,
Right?
there it is. You found it, all by yourself. The fourth magic. This magic, it's not part of the triad. It's a spirit of fire and death. I personally believe that it's necessary to keep the cycles moving. But it's also almost certainly the fire that fuels the Fiondas. Those terrible beasts that, well, seem to be getting all the more ambitious of late. Aengil, the fire spirit. You feel him most in the summer when the sun burns down on you, drying everything out, trying to dry out the crops and everything. Now, also here, I'm making too much noise, so I doubt we'll see one today. But you might see a Camoch, or a will-o'-the-wisps, if you will, sometimes. These things, they don't come straight from the core magics, but they do come from spirits of the magic. Right now, in the fall season, you're most likely to see Claybor, the spirit of water.
I mean, what will it look like?
Depends on the person. When I see them, they're more like motes of light than anything else. Sometimes they act as guides. Indeed, when I first went on my own journey, my own pilgrimage, if you will, way into the Highlands, I followed a will-o'-the-wisps on the way.
Did it take you somewhere good?
Oh, yes.
Alright, I wonder where I'm going to go, Seamus. I don't really know where the being at the Merton's going to take me. Who's going to want an apprentice?
You'll know when you're no longer being an apprentice and start being your own Demorphin. It'll come real natural to you.
I'll trust you, Seamus, I guess.
That's your problem. That's why you're still an apprentice. Stop trusting me. Start trusting in yourself and learn about the magic.
Aye, Seamus. I'll try.
Look. Have you got any questions or anything like that? Doesn't have to be about the magic. We're way out here alone. No one can hear us. You can ask me about anything.
Yeah, I guess. I know sometimes you have to deal with some of the politics of the village, but Seamus, I mean, how do you balance?
Look, the thing about people is, more often than not, they can solve their own problems. They're just too damn lazy. Sometimes you just have to point that out to them.
So
Or they're
a good
too
boot
damn
up the ass.
A good boot up the ass. That works in all situations, whether they're being too lazy or whether they're being too stubborn. Just point out their failings, and eventually they'll take on some responsibility, or they're not fit to do whatever they're supposed to do. That's my opinion, anyway. Some say different. I guess I'm one of them Demorphin that believe that things just work out if you're willing to give it time. There are others who believe that they can have more of an effect on things as they go through life. Those more towards the southern villages of the West, where they still believe that human sacrifice can appease the will of nature. But, okay, let's follow a line of logic. How was life created?
The life tree, wasn't it?
Kind of. How was the life tree created?
Seamus, hell if I know.
He flicks you on the head. Come on, by the magics! The magics created it. The elemental magics. It's just the same for people. You'll feel rhyme there at the very start when you bring your first person into the world. You'll also feel Adar and Usgard there, feeding them and helping them pass out of the body and into their own. It's always the magic that gets things going. But now tell me, if it's the elemental magics that create people, why would you need to kill people to make the elemental magics happy? That don't make logical sense to me.
No, I really hope, Seamus, that's not where being at the Morthen takes me.
I mean, it's always worth heading towards the southwest. It's an education, I'll tell you that. But who knows? You might find that your path goes that way. I'm not one to say. You'll figure it out yourself. I just told you that.
Yeah, I just hope I don't end up one of the people on another knife,
Oh, you don't need to worry about that. That's the nice thing about being a spiritual leader. You tend to be exempt from them sort of things unless you decide it yourself.
Fair enough. I guess I'll get some garb like you have.
Oh, this trinket. You'll know when.
Aye, that and the big old robe. You could get in a different color.
Hey, I could. This one hides the whiskey stains, though.
Aye, fair.
Do you want to try?
Whiskey? I've had that since I was 7, Seamus.
No, not the whiskey, lassie. No, I mean, do you want to try with the stone? See if you can feel it. The Rendaf.
I didn't know I could use yours.
In this place, you probably can. I don't know who built this place or why, but they infused it with some strong protection magic.
Alright, then I'll give it a shot, Seamus.
He takes off the stone and passes it across.
Alright, what do I do, Seamus? Does it just do its thing? Do I think really hard?
No, you have to open yourself up to the elements. Let them flow through you. Speak to them if you can. In your head, though. It sounds a bit weird if you just start gobbling out. And then, when you feel ready, I usually, rub the stone across the rune on the front, but, if you know, you'll know. And if you don't, you don't.
Alright, just don't get to staring at me when you do this. I'm gonna get a little nervous. And she kind of turns around away, a little shy, takes it in her hand, tries to take some deep breaths, and starts to rub, after about a minute, the rune on it, and just really focus.
First roll of the season. Could you make me a Rindef roll, please?
Yes, I can. when I find it on my character sheet again.
Is it that?
There's not like a mark next to it to roll. Do I just roll a d10?
In that case, make me a Demorphin Mysteries roll.
Okay.
So, do you want to be a mage or a fighter?
Welcome,
Forgot.
Raiders. Thank you so much for the raid. Thank you for the sub, Lauren. And you can gift an advantage to someone. Thank you very much to Sammy, who gifted an advantage to Kelly earlier. Oh, did that roll properly?
I don't think so. I'll try.
There is a double plus in there somewhere.
Oh.
Whew.
There we go.
So, Paige, tell us, as Eleanor rubs this stone and feels the elements passing through her and is able to create some small trinket, literally from nothing, how does this feel? What does she think, and what does she create?
Well, she's hello, horn. She's thinking and she's focusing, and what kind of appears is just a. It's almost like a river stone. It's like her childhood. The entire time it's just going around in rivers and stuff, and then it's just this little stone. It looks like kind of similar to before, where it's a little crystallized, and it doesn't look like anything special, but it's hers, and she's happy.
Seamus is standing at the other side of the circle with his back to you.
Seamus, I think I did it. Yeah, look at it, Seamus. I actually did it.
Aye! Well done, lassie. You'll see you'll be a Demorphin in no time. Oh, it seems that Roim likes you too. Roim was always closest to me and all. Although saying that is a river stone, so perhaps you'll find yourself closer to Usgard. You find some people are stronger in one element than others for whatever reason.
Well, I guess I'll have to find out, Seamus.
You will. You can't keep that trinket, though. That one's mine.
He's
All right.
like grinning coyly at you.
I could try to make it your own, Seamus, if you can't do it.
Heh. Don't be clever. Come on.
And he'll take the stone back and put it back on.
Right. Eleanor, I'm gonna head back to the village. I suggest you stay here in the circle for a little while.
All right, I'll do it. Thanks,
Yeah,
Seamus. I really appreciate it.
You've made contact now. Take stock of that. Enjoy it. Enjoy their presence.
All right, I'll do my best, Seamus.
Right, put out of the way then. That's my pathway right there. And
starts with his hopping gait as he quite nimbly, for a short, curled up old man, navigates the nearby stones and makes his way back to the village. What does Eleanor do?
Oh, she sits. She kind of goes into the circle and kind of tries to find a good spot, and she just kind of does what she did. Yeah, she does, like, almost every day. Once she gets her chores done, she just sits back and she kind of leans back with her arms behind her, and she looks around and she goes, all right. I know he says not to talk out loud, but I really feel weird talking in my head. I'm really used to talking out loud to everyone. I have like 5 brother spirits. I don't think he'll talk back, but maybe I'll get lucky and he'll say something, but try not to do anything too creepy and, too crazy. And she'll just continue talking to the spirits and maybe dawdle off for a bit.
How long would she stay there?
Probably an hour.
So after about 50 minutes, as the sun starts to draw down beyond the horizon, which is quite a high horizon, to be fair, we're in the Highlands, You see the very small mote of light at the edge of the circle of stones, back towards the village, the very path that Seamus walked. Very pale, you can barely see it, just this little mote of blue light.
Are you? Oh no, are you like a monk or what are you? I don't. Oh, Seamus. Do I follow you? Is that what I do? I'll get up and kind of slowly walk over to it and see if this is what I'm supposed to do.
As soon as you move towards it, it starts to move away from you.
I don't know if you're liking me following you, or if I'm supposed to just keep going, or if you're gonna go next to me. But I'm just gonna keep following you and just try not to kill me if you don't like it. Just poof, and keep following it and see if it likes it.
As you leave the circle of stones, the calm feeling goes with you. And as you follow the little moat, it follows exactly the same path you and Seamus walked earlier, back towards the village.
All right. I've never seen one of you. I've heard of you, but I don't really know if you're supposed to be going this way. Don't you know you're really supposed to be in the woods?
And as it gets close to the village, it veers off to the right, towards the south road.
If Eleanor really thinks it's like a safe thing, if she knows that she's like still in a safe zone, having this is her village, she'll follow it that way.
Mm-hmm. When you have it takes you to a viewpoint, a stone that juts out of the rocks above the tree line with a fantastic view of the south road. Many children might have come here to just look in their pastime. As it gets to that stone, it disappears.
All right. I don't know if your directions are really great or who told you to go there, but you're kind of just going off a cliff there. All right. And I'll walk up to the spot and kind of peer around to see if I see anything magnificent.
Perhaps magnificent isn't the word. You don't see anything grandiose. But along the south road, you can see a little orange flicker. At first, you think it looks a lot like the moat you were following, but red, perhaps one of them fire spirits. But on closer inspection, you can see it is in fact a small torch held by a single lonely traveler dressed in dark clothing. And with that, I would like to pan to Eris. Eris, what would Eris do with her after lunch, mid-afternoon chores?
So what would she do after, or what would her afternoon chores be?
Bit of both. How long do they take you?
Probably not very long at all at this point. I think she has her basic tasks down. She usually does some cleaning, does some putting things away. She probably has some kind of book chapters to read, etc., etc. Assignments essentially. And it's very it's a very going through the motions for her. A lot of these tasks is kind of do this one thing and then you do this thing, and so she works through them really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And then she looks around, and as usual there's really nobody around. And so she'll head out, and she probably has a space, a clearing nearby that she'll go to, and she'll some days she brings a book. Other days she brings kind of practice fighting gear. and she'll do kind of workouts. There's probably actually one tree that you can see in the corner of this clearing that clearly has a bunch of like chips in the bark. And you can almost tell there's these worn chips that look like they've been there a long time that are kind of all over the place, and over time they get closer and closer, and there's just basically one spot in the tree that's like this big gouging hole where it's been hit over and over and over again.
Okay. And I think at some point this afternoon I would love for you to be due to meet with Caristo for a lesson. But until then, you can practice. Some of the local children will probably come and watch you if they can find your glade. You know, it's the duty of everyone in the village to keep an eye on children at any time in case there is, well, not just a Fiondas attack. Up here in the mountains, even a stray wolf could attack a child if it's hungry enough. Especially on the roads that lead out to the nearby farms. So everyone takes turns to look out for children. So it wouldn't be too far-fetched them to have found your glade in the past. Perhaps you might have heard them playing and either felt duty to look after them, or they might have just stumbled across you.
They probably have been here quite a few times before. It's probably a regular occurrence. She's probably close enough to the village that you can actually hear the sound of clacking. And once the children come, she'll kind of pause and she'll switch from kind of doing kind of core tasks, maybe that some of that's even push-ups or chin-ups on a tree, and that's when she'll kind of take out her dagger and essentially start showing off for the children to kind of laugh, and with the goal of like getting a few cheers. She'll do something kind of she'll do things like entirely unnecessary, like backflips and throw a dagger at the tree, and then she'll turn and act like she doesn't realize that they're there, but keep doing it anyway.
Would you like to make a feats roll for that, or would you like that to just be descriptively canon? I'm good for either. I can do that. I do have the nimble feat. Ooh.
So I have benefits in appropriate cases such as tumbling.
Well, that would almost certainly apply here.
Except I don't actually have a whole bunch.
Ooh, that looks like it's a critical fumble. So today, as you go to do this tumble, something just goes wrong. How does this look?
I think she usually keeps this area really clear and really clean, but maybe there's recently been a storm that has come through and knocked some tree branches down, or something has kind of left some things in the way, and so it's not as clean as she normally leaves it. And while she likes showing off, she's not very good in uneven footing, and she just kind of hits something and slips. And I think she lands fairly safely and tries to recover, but her kind of dagger throw goes wide.
Yeah, and the two children that were watching you, a girl and a boy, who both, seem to admire you often. The guy runs up to you. The girl goes running off after the knife, whichever direction it went. The guy runs up and is...
Eris, are you okay? You fell right over there.
Oh, I'm fine. I'm fine. You know me. It's fine.
Are you sure? Because it looked real bad.
Oh, yeah. No, it happens all the time. Accident, just side effect of the trade.
Happens all the time. Does that mean that if I try to be like you, I'll fall over lots?
Yeah, I mean, that's what you do when you practice. You fall and then you get back up and you try it again, and you fall and you get back up and you try it again. If we don't make mistakes, we don't ever learn anything.
Bethany's gone looking for your knife.
She's gonna cut herself. Stay close, let's go find her. And Eris will kind of walk towards the edge of the clearing and see if she can figure out where her blade went.
As you start walking away from the safety of the glade, this is heading into the wood, which is, the wood encroaches quickly on the village, so it's not really a marked area. Probably would be considered a harsh hiking area, because it's not road or anything. We're gonna call him Kenny. Young Kenny reaches out to try and hold your hand.
And she'll take it. She may even instead of just taking a hand, she may even put an arm around his shoulder.
Hey, all right. Did we call out to her?
I think instead we should just see if we can figure out where the knife went and see if we can find her. I don't think making a lot of noise out in the woods, it's getting late, is the best idea.
She couldn't have gone far, surely.
And Eris might whistle for her and see if she gets a response.
I'm over here.
Oh, see, she's close by.
My foot's stuck.
And Eris will immediately run over and try and help her out.
One of them situations where she's just a young child. Her foot isn't stuck. She just needs to turn it. And you can easily free her. And but this child looks at you with wide-eyed adulation.
You came and saved me, Eris.
That's, that's what we do out here. We help each other. Well, let's get out of the woods and back home.
Hey,
it's probably
Mum.
about time for you to have dinner anyway.
Hey, me ma'll be worried.
Well, we wouldn't want that to happen either.
And you can return the children back to the village with ease. You also find your knife.
And I think as Eris heads back into the village, her demeanor changes somewhat. She's still very kind of patient with the children, but she's much more straight-backed. Maybe doesn't hold their hands walking into town.
Would the children be used to this as well?
Yes.
So, as you get closer, I think both Kenny and Beth will just, sort of maybe step a little away, knowing, maybe Kenny gives you a little wink.
Eris might even be used to the parents, I think, of this town know that Eris is going to look out for the kids and that she's more than capable, but they're probably not excited that the children have taken to her so clearly.
And sure enough, as you head towards Maggie McGinley, she gives you a squinted eye.
All right, Eris. Been out practicing again, have you?
It's every day.
Ma, Eris, she did 3 backflips in one jump and then landed and fell over. But she said that's okay because that's what you do when you're practicing. Hey, I bet she did. Kinda true, too. Thank you for the kind lesson, Eris.
Yeah, if you're not getting it from my voice, there's a little bit of begrudge there.
Would you like to stay for dinner, Eris? I've made
that's
stew.
all right. We've got plenty back at the house. Thank you, though.
Aye, welcome.
And she'll probably just kind of nod at Maggie and turn a heel and head to her meeting.
Sure thing. Caristo's house is a little off from the main village. Not so far as to be dangerous, but not so close as to be social. It's very different style to the rest of the huts. The Magiants of the continent are famous for their differing architecture and their improvements that they make to the cities and towns that they inhabit. This village itself doesn't seem to have had that sort of similar effect, and Caristo stays mostly to himself. But you can see there's a candle light in a window as you approach his front door.
Would it be accurate to say that Eris is probably one of the only people that comes out here on her own? And I think she's been kind of walking this path for years out towards his house fairly regularly. And seeing that the candle is lit, it's almost a welcome sign, something that they've developed over years to know that they're waiting, that Christo is waiting for her, because he's not about to be waiting for anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
She'll probably knock, and just let herself inside.
Come in! Come in! Okay, this accent's gonna be real hard for me with a stuffy nose today, but I'm gonna give it my best shot.
Hey, stick around.
Welcome, Eris. It is a pleasure to see you once again. How are you doing?
Same as usual. You're the only person here that it's usually a pleasure to see.
There's something quaint about these people and their traditions. And despite his voice sounding quite young, because Scrat can't croak very well today, you can see there's grey lining his hair, and he also isn't wearing the general garb of the other people. In fact, he wears what looks a lot more like a formal suit. Not like a perhaps think of like a naval jacket of times gone by, but with buttoned up seams that go all the way down, and he's holding the candle in one hand, and I feel like today we will have a more important lesson.
More important than what we usually cover.
Yes. I cannot describe it. It's like a feeling in my water. That crazed old coot, Seamus, he would say that the spirits are talking to him. I feel something like that. I feel... perhaps this village is rubbing off on me. I feel destiny. Like we do not have much time for my lessons.
You know that destiny is just a myth, right?
We shall see, wise one. I would
Always
like...
so cryptic.
I would like today to share with you some of my deeper secrets. The ones which kind of led to my self-exile, if you will. You know, before the current king, Sir Anlad, took rule of Osterbeil, it used to be a lot more progressive thinking with regards to us, the Magientists. In fact, there was great universities there that would teach people about the flux and how to extract it from things. I myself was lecturer at that university, teaching people how to extract flux from different types of botany.
Well, I do know how much you like to hear yourself talk.
It's true. I have a magnificent voice. What do you think of this? He takes a pole. You can't really call it a stick because it's not made of wood. It takes a pole from a store cupboard and sort of tosses it towards you. This pole is a hollow tube with a like sitting on one side of the hollowed tube there is a globe which is shielded all around one side, but has glass on the other side, and it has a handle to be held. You could hold it like a staff, or hold it like you could point it, sort of like a gun. You could point it. Well, what do you think it is?
I don't know, maybe some kind of weapon.
Perhaps in the right hands. Indeed, it has been fortified. You may have heard me talk in the past about nebulars of the city.
I remember.
Yes, the lights that are powered by flux themselves. He goes over to his drawer and pulls out what almost looks like a small cartridge, a small cylindrical cartridge which is green, and when he shakes it you can see fluid moving around in there. This is flux, and he pushes the cartridge into the hollow tube. You hear it slide down. You can put many of these in there for more charge, but now press that little button on the side by your thumb there.
She'll probably angle the thing towards the floor and press the button.
So as you angle it towards the floor, you see the you can hear the cartridge start to slide back out.
Oh, flip.
That is a problem, and there is a lid for that somewhere. Where did I put the lid?
You'd lose your head if it wasn't attached.
It's always been attached. It's never been a problem. The bits and bobs drawer, of course. And he starts rummaging through the drawer. There's really no danger, though. You can press the button.
And she'll press the button knowing that this could be a while.
As you press the button, the small globe lights up like a flashlight. This is... If you didn't study magiance, this would be like Demorphin magic. You know, creating light from nothing. It's very bright, illuminates the room.
I think Eris at first might kind of cover her eyes a little bit from how bright it is, and then look at it more closely. I don't think she's shocked because she spent so much time with Callisto by the idea of it, but she is kind of fascinated, and she'll start looking at it really carefully, kind of poking at it in places. Maybe press the button again on and off and see what it does.
Yeah, you can... What accent have I got now? It is... here is the lid. It is a interesting artifact, one that I brought with me. Although you did mention that you thought it was a weapon. And it can be. I do not have any of the red cartridges. Those are the ones which are taken from the living. When you extract the flux from a living creature. Usually a small rodent or mammal is best, but there are people who have done it with after surgery. If you load the gun with those things, not the gun. If you load the tube with those things, it becomes a Kessler rifle, named after Kessler, who created them.
Well,
If you want it to be both, then you need to put in the green ones first and the red ones after.
I feel like having a weapon that's this, like, big doesn't seem particularly useful.
No. But tell me, have you seen someone use a bow and arrow?
Yes, I've used one myself.
Okay, what if I told you that it had twice the range and 10 times the speed?
Now you're talking.
I have only seen one of these things used in this way once, near one of the great Magiantist factories, which actually was not in Osterbale, it was actually back in the Rise, and someone wanted to storm the factory. The pellet that was fired from this device went straight through their chain mail and killed the man instantly. It was not a pretty sight.
But still useful. Weapons like this could protect all of us from Fiondas.
That is a very interesting topic, and actually you are ever so slightly incorrect. In our studies of the Fiondas before the university was shut down, we found that these weapons proved ineffective against the Fiondas, as everything does except for the Demorphin magic circles, which must be some kind of flux thing if you ask me, and the same with the temples. But we found that one metal would hurt the creatures. It was known as Turgach. At least that's what I have never quite been comfortable with the native tongue of this place, but that is what the old people called the metal. Turgach. The only problem is, there are no mines. Anywhere.
There's no mines anywhere. How do we even know about it?
Well, this is the thing. There used to be mines. But they are dried up. We have used them all, plummeted them to their depth. And when the Fiondas attack happened 10 years ago, we used a great deal of the metal to fight them off, although the people in Gwydir would not admit to it. We had hoped to end the war and strike an alliance in one move, but their allegiance to their one god was too strong. They would not have any of it. They believed that their one god had driven away the creatures. And he spits. Oh shit, I'm gonna have to clean that up.
And Eris gets this look on her face that's just like, yup. Well, why are you even showing me this anyway? What does this have to do with the feeling in your gut?
Right. The green stuff. I can show you how to make it.
You sure that feeling in your gut wasn't like gas?
You know, it's weird. It's similar, but somehow so much more important. Like if it was the last time you could ever release gas.
Well, we should probably let you pass that then.
Yes, we can pass it together. Come to my workbench. I managed to bring a plant in for this, so you can... I have an empty cartridge as well. And he begins setting up a much more scientific construction than what we experience of Alienor. There's boiling beakers and condensers and all sorts of swirly apparatus. And he says, now, really, most of this is just for refining it better. As I said, I was an expert in this. All you really need to do is to heat up this pot, and he takes you through a simple way of extracting flux from plants.
And I think even though Eris has been kind of the whole time at this, she is very attentive and very focused and very quiet as she's trying to like follow along step by step. Given the opportunity, she may even take scratch notes.
And as he's taking you through it all, he will also point out what the different things do to make the refining process better. And there are times when he says things like, now this part splits the liquid, the flux, into two parts. The flux is useful for energy, but it also is a potent poison. To separate the two, you put it through this section here, and it separates out most of the poison from the flux so that even a child could use it. At this point, that extra mineral bit just becomes waste. We used to just dump it in the ocean. The roiling sea takes care of all things, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like we can go in there anyway. But I mean, this is all useful knowledge, I guess, but without this, she like gestures to his fancy setup. I mean, this is the only place that I could possibly do this.
Oh, no, that is not quite true. Let's see, your average Varigal on their travels would have a cooking pot, perhaps a plate, and at least some kind of canteen or bottle. Using these simple things, you could do very similar. The only thing you may need is piping, and that you can carry with you. And he starts rifling through drawers again, looking for, like, just rubber piping.
I imagine it's like laying on top of a table somewhere in the mess, and Eris just picks it up and puts it in her bag. While he's still rifling through things.
I cannot find it right now, he says after about 10 minutes of searching. And during that time, you can have a look at his notes and things, and it's an interesting process. But yes, you now know how to extract energy from plant-based creatures. There's also a footnote in his notes which he didn't tell you, but it reads in a very formal hand that the process of extracting energy from stone and flesh is very different to that of extracting energy from plants.
Does it look like it's still his handwriting?
Yes, yeah. He even adds that he is... these look like his old lecture notes. They look very dry and old. And it says, for guidance in these areas, you should see Professor Bannenhoff or Professor Shenanigan.
And as he's kind of washing his hands of trying to find what he was looking for, Eris she says, Callisto, you said there were, I know about the other types of cartridges, but you don't have the means here to do those? Are those more complex?
Yes, no. Perhaps they are just as complex, but different. The people who extracted energy from flesh tended to be doctors and surgeons. Whilst they were extracting energy, they would also learn great things about the body, anthropology and that sort of thing. I honestly could not tell you exactly how it works, but I know you do not heat it up and boil it down just like you do with plants. And the people who extract energy from rocks, the geologists or dirt people, if you will, it involves breaking things up and crunching them down, and pestles and mortars and powders and all sorts of things. They also made interesting things like explosive powders and things like that. Very good for mining. Apparently,
Yes.
different rocks
better for different energy. Oh, there is a fourth kind of energy, though. Although it's very rare. It is yellow in color, and it can sometimes be found in old rocks, in fossils. It's said to be the most powerful kind of energy. Though I've never seen any in my time.
Well, as always, I appreciate whatever information you can share with me. There's only so many things you can learn from being here. But you've basically shown me how to make a lantern.
A safe lantern. This lantern has no chance of setting anything on fire.
Fair.
I probably don't need to tell you, though, to keep it hidden. Keep it safe. The people, they do not understand.
I mean, you think that the relationship between the Demorthans' magics and this would make people more receptive.
Dermordis, they call us. I understand in the old tongue it means to revile against tradition or something similar to this. They believe that what we do defiles the elemental spirits that invest in everything.
Yep.
I'm sure your Demorphin has taught you similarly, no?
Yeah, I mean, you can't escape the Demorthans' teachings in any of these towns growing up. I think they gave up on me a while ago, though. Kind of stopped paying attention to me once I started showing up around you more often.
Oh, but with your lovely temperament, who could not simply adore you?
I'm a peach.
A simple delight. It gets late. They will soon be serving dinner in the town. You will be missed.
You'd think that. But you're right. Well, if your digestive tract has any more sudden ideas about what I should know or not know, you know where you can find me.
As you're leaving, you hear Aristo sort of softly say, "Goodbye, Aris. Good luck." As you head back towards the center of the village, you can see your older stepbrother talking with a traveler dressed in dark clothes, carrying a torch. And I would like to pan across to Kaiden. Kaiden, mid-afternoon, where would you be?
Probably still working at the Smith. I mean, I basically just do whatever Tamuk tells me.
Tamuk is a mountain of a man. Stands 6'4", and probably about 4 or 5 feet wide. His shoulders look like they belong on a bear rather than a man. He's also another one of the few people in the village who do not wear traditional dress. It's typical that all of the NPCs we've encountered so far don't wear typical dress, but rather than the skirt that is affected by most people known as a kilt, he wears leather trousers and encourages you to do the same. You've only heard one person ever call him out on this, and in response, he simply picked up a bar of cold steel and bent it, and they didn't ever call him out for it again. The leather is, of course, to protect him from the forge. He wears a simple jerkin with a leather apron
comes down his front and leather. Despite the fact that he wears quite a few layers, he never seems to show any signs of feeling the heat. Perhaps something that you wish you too could feel as the forge gets very, very warm. For the most part, he's quiet. Tomac is working currently on some horseshoes. Simple work, but it pays the bills.
Tomac, do you need me to bring in more firewood?
Hey.
Alright, I'll get on that for you. I'll go outside and I guess find the firewood pile, start chopping wood for him.
As you start chopping, he says, "More coal!"
Right, got it.
When you're done there, you can pump the bellows for a bit.
Right. So, put that to the list. I'll go and grab more firewood, more coal, and then I'll pump the bellows.
And the ring of the hammer will be the accompanying sound for most of the afternoon. Around mid-afternoon, Tamak will lay down his hammer and turns to you. About time for a meal, don't you think?
You're the one who's been working, so I've just been pumping the bellows. Doesn't take that much out of me.
Then you put yourself down. Working the forge is hard work, no matter what you do.
No, but you make the important things, so.
Aye.
I just sit here and watch you. Just
You have
Still
some
learn.
skill though, Kaiden. I've seen you playing with the bits of metal.
it's little trinkets. It's nothing major.
Aye. However, there are some people in the cities that pay good money for a blacksmith's trinket. Especially if you can make a blacksmith's puzzle.
What's that?
You make them from the offshoots, like the bits you play with. They tend to be a number of different pieces of metal that you link together. And you can orient them so that the whole thing comes apart.
One of those mind games, then.
Sorry?
It's a mind game.
Kind of. It's a problem to be solved, like any other.
What's the point of taking the pieces apart then?
What's the point of doing anything?
Well, making horseshoes is useful. Making daggers is useful. Trinkets and puzzles, they don't do much, do they?
Aye. But why do you make horseshoes? Not just because it's useful. People pay you for it. Like I said,
No.
in the cities, people will pay for trinkets.
In the cities, people will pay for a lot of things.
Aye, you have a city accent yourself, Kaiden.
Long time ago.
You never talk about it.
Not much to say about Ostervale that hasn't already been said. It's a city.
Supposed to be the most beautiful city in all of Talcair, maybe in the entire peninsula.
When you're living in the dirt, it's just a city.
Alright, don't want to talk, you don't want to talk, I won't force you.
If the city was that great, I wouldn't have ended up here. And I'd quite prefer it out here.
And with his cold hands, and I mean cold as in they are covered in coal, he heads over to a nearby cabinet and pulls out 2 hunks of bread. And you can see his hand staining the bread as he passes you a roll.
I look over the stains a little, and just sort of try to dust off a little when I can. But my hands are also probably pretty filthy, so it doesn't help.
Yep. Just extra flavor.
You take what you can get. Cheers. Sort of hold up a hunk of bread.
Save your cheers for whiskey later. I understand that with a sailor planning to have a wee party tonight. You didn't hear that from me though. You'll know that the sailor is like the town leader. It means guardian in the old tongue.
Any particular reason for it, or just a party?
We're approaching winter. He probably wants to try and raise spirits before the time. And he'll also probably try and butter up Seamus with some whiskey to get good omens out of him for the winter.
Is it really considered a good omen if it comes out of a drunkard?
Pay respect to your Demorphin. He may be drunk, but there's power in that man.
I mean, I suppose.
Besides, you've taken your fair share of whiskey, ain't you?
As is everyone.
Aye. Just saying. Not like the tongs to call the hammer a hammer.
There's nothing magical in being able to drink your whiskey.
That's true. Some say there's nothing magical about smithing either. That's also true.
Neither of us are real Demorphin magic folk. We just it's simple things we do. I'm fine with that.
Perhaps.
Say that
Anyway.
a lot.
I'm gonna go and visit the sailor this afternoon. The forge is yours to close down for the afternoon. But if you want to... I've got a load of iron ingots left over from my last order. So if you want to make yourself something, feel free to.
Trust me enough?
Say again.
You trust me enough.
Aye. Shouldn't I?
Also, I guess.
Right then. As he starts to head out of the forge, he heads over to the bellows. And he bends almost double to grab the handle, lifts it all the way up, and then slams it down in one movement. And you see the forge fires burn yellow to white hot. That should keep you going until it's ready to close down.
Right, yeah. I'll see what I can do.
And he leaves, leaving you the forge to yourself.
Well, Kamak might trust Kaden. Kaden does not trust Kaden. Or Kaiden. But Kaiden's gonna try. Just take a couple of ingots, melt them down, and try and make a smaller a dagger or short sword. He's definitely doesn't have the muscle Kamak has. He's just sort of starting to put on some of that mean muscle over like a really lanky brain. But it's damn if he'll try.
It's probably the only part of Tamak that is usually visible. I don't think you've ever seen a sleeve that could hold his arms. It's the sort of thing, when he holds a hammer, you can see like the 3 or 4 sections as different muscles group on his arm. It's an impressive sight. You have a choice. Everyone has a choice in this system when it comes to defining the outcome of any action. You may either describe in detail what you do, or make a roll.
Everyone else made rolls. I'm gonna make a roll for this.
Your thing.
Not gonna go well because Roll20 doesn't like me, but we're gonna roll for it. Would this be a smithing roll,
It would indeed be craft smithing.
please?
Okay,
Well-
11. 11's not bad, even though it's a critical fumble. I would say with this, you realize you probably waste a lot of metal, but you make what you were intending to make. So, how does this go?
There's probably a couple tries where, despite Tamak being massive, he has a very gentle touch at the forge. Kaiden doesn't have that refined touch yet, so a couple of the first blades he tries, they kind of break, and he keeps kind of breaking them after a couple tries, and so he has to remelt them down. And every time you melt them down, it sort of loses a little bit of the metal that was used. So he finally is able to build and temper a blade. And it's not exactly perfect. It's probably a little curved. It's not like a straight dagger blade. It's not as delicate or as like detailed as some of Tamak's blades, but it's his. He made it. They're very proud of it. He definitely takes a little bit more time to craft the pommel and the hilt, and he takes some of the stones that he's picked up just from walking around the pretty things and twist bits of metal around the pommel and add little stones in there. The hilt is the prettiest part. He has definitely much more nimbler fingers than he does shoulder muscle.
Okay. And then it would be time to close down the forge.
I'll clean up everything as best as I can. Make sure all the tools are put away. Cool down the coal fire. I don't know how to smith. This is a problem.
No, it's all good. Probably just cover the quenching oils.
Yep.
Get rid of the get rid of the plain water as well. Plain water's best fresh, but the seawater can be left, or salt water at least. For the forge itself, just closing the door would be enough. You tend to leave it burning overnight, but closing the door keeps most of the fire hazard contained. It's only a matter. Go on.
Blade with me if the blade I made with me if I can.
You can take the blade with you. Yep. There's it's not long until you've tidied away all the tools. You have your blade cooling by your side. It still needs sharpening though. And you have, it's probably getting on towards late afternoon.
Then I'll try and meet back up with Tamak, or if there's a sharpening stone somewhere, I'll pick it up and idly sharpen the blade a bit. It catches sometimes out of some of the uneven edges, but working on it.
Yeah, there's a big grindstone outside that you can sharpen it on as well, and whetstones and all of that good stuff. At this time Tamak had to go and visit the Varigal, but by now they've probably gone to find some whiskey. Now there is an inn here which people usually frequent, but it's not like a traditional or a modern day pub. It's essentially the Varigal's front room. The drinks cabinet in the corner and chairs laid all about.
Right. I'll probably sit at the whetstone and sharpen it for a while and just idly watch people pass. It's still fascinating, even though it's been 3 years. The small town is still fascinating to me a little.
Mm-hmm.
How quiet and peaceful it is. And once the blade is sufficiently sharpened, I'll tuck it into my belt, head off to whiskey.
Whilst you're sitting there sharpening, you'll see Eris pass through the village, heading towards Coristo's house, as she often does. You don't see Eleanor today, though you do see Seamus come back to town. and he sort of hops and skips back to his own house, where he and Eliza both together leave and head towards the Versailles Inn as well.
Sort of let my eyes follow Eris down the path a little. Don't say anything. Then I watch Seamus. Sort of keep an ear out for whatever they're talking about as they walk over before following them.
Where Seamus is a sort of rickety, bumpy, all sort of a manic energy to him. Eliza stands straight. You could almost put a broom handle down her back and neck and wouldn't see any difference. She walks with an air of decorum, and she even has a calming effect on Seamus. That calming effect she seems to have on most of the village, and often people will ask her for advice just as often as they ask Seamus.
Are they talking about anything as they walk over to the sailors?
So the snippet of conversation you would hear is,
Aye, no, Eliza, she's gonna be ready any time now. I can feel it. Something's gonna happen. She's almost demorphing already. You know, it's a shame that we don't have some sort of, I don't know, an anointment or something like that. It's a shame they have to take it on themselves. And again, very calmly, Eliza just replies, Seamus, you know it'll happen when it happens. Just calm yourself. We'll get you deep in your cup this evening. When Eleanor's ready, she'll be ready.
I sort of nod and finish sharpening my blade, and then I walk over myself. Still keeping an ear out the entire time.
Before we go into the inn, I would like to head out to Reese. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Yes.
Reese.
Yes.
Where are you in the mid-afternoon?
Normally, Reese would be hunting more than likely, but today is the one day of the week where he would be taking his game into town to try and sell it. So he's basically spent most of the afternoon loading up deer skins, stags, the bodies, and put them all into the back of a cart. Very small, old, rickety cart. And got extra supplies, money, everything, and once he's sure he's got everything, he picks up his cart, because he doesn't really have any, animal, per se. He just picks up his own cart and starts walking it into town up the path from his house that is not too far away. It's only about half a day, maybe, if that, maybe less.
On your passage from your house towards the village, you'll notice a turned stone, a leaf that's been crushed, enough to draw your eye. And in the ground there, you can see a large paw print.
Does it look wolf or bear?
The paw print is deep, which indicates it's a heavy creature. Although you've seen big wolves, you've seen small bears, it could be either. There's
Is it wider or rounder? Because that would be there's
a large round pad with what looks like 6 small pads around that pad, not quite making a semicircle, and beyond them you can see the scrapings of where claws have hit the ground.
Huh.
As you
Is it-
look for more, you find more.
Is it leading along the path, or is it just
No, it crosses the
darting
path.
out?
It
Okay.
crosses the path, but it is closer to the village than you'd normally be comfortable with.
I'm gonna keep my bow really close to me, just in case. And like, I don't want to leave the cart, but I do kind of want to check it out. He kind of struggles for a minute before eventually setting the cart down and kind of following it, just to make sure it went in a direction away from the village, essentially.
So, as you follow it, you... Actually, make me a natural environment roll, unless you can think of something better, just to track this beast.
Okay. I do have tracking.
Tracking's
straight up-
perfect.
Straight up tracking.
Straight up tracking? Spot on. Oh! Okay.
He's been doing this a while.
Oh, yeah. So, as you track this creature, you can see it sort of... It notices something. You can see it goes into, like, predatory mode as the footsteps get lighter and it gets more careful. You can see it's started moving slower and even crouched in a bush for some time. However, after it's crouched in this bush for some time, it then turns away and starts moving towards a very small outcrop. Here in this outcrop, you can see where a blade has struck a tree, and you can see signs of what looks like... With this tracking, I'm just going to give you everything. You can see what looks like a person and two children had ventured into this section of forest a short way. This is incredibly close to the village.
And does it like, any sign of how long these tracks have been here, or are they relatively fresh?
All of these tracks were here today. They weren't here yesterday. They weren't here 6 hours ago. Very fresh.
I gotta keep going, seeing them there, trying to like figure out where it went. If it's nearby, definitely probably gonna try and scare this thing off. Which I really shouldn't do, but you know. Stupid, dumb lug.
How are you going to...
Keep tracking it. The whole time he's probably just whispering underneath his breath, stupid, stupid, stupid. Shouldn't be doing this. Shouldn't be doing this. But he keeps going and following it and tracking it to like make sure whatever it is doesn't go after the kids or the lady.
So as you follow the tracks once more, the hackles on the back of your neck begin to rise. You feel like you're being watched.
Okay. Can I perceive from where, or
You can indeed.
is that another roll?
Can be, yeah.
Oh god.
Again, if you can descriptively tell me, we can avoid rolling. That is a very suggestive part of the rules of this system.
I'm just gonna do mostly a quick glance around, just like look over both shoulders, being careful, and just at the same time, maybe notching an arrow in a bow that is stupid big for how big this guy is, too.
Yeah, so as you glance around quickly, you notice that the shadow in that bush is just slightly too deep. And a bush like that shouldn't have yellow berries. It shouldn't have two of them sitting around that far apart.
Oh, God. I don't trust it.
I
really...
It seems the creature is in the shadow of that bush waiting to pounce on you. Or at least thinking about pouncing on you. It might have seen your size and be thinking again.
I'm going to do one of those quick motions where I pull quick and draw back and point at it to try to, like, show it just how big I really am and show, like, the quick threatening motion to get it to startle.
As you do this, it's sort of like... You see it sort of, like, cower back, and as it does, its foot slips on a rock, and the creature sort of stumbles, and it lands almost in... not exactly a path, but what you might consider a hiker's path, the sort of easier route that you might take. It suddenly appears out of the shadow, and the creature is down, hackles raised, looking at you, sort of snarling, but it looks very fight or flight at the moment.
Go in. Just yells, just like growls at it basically. He's got the bow pulled back and he's just, get!
As you shout, get, the creature turns tail. Dashes into the woods.
What's it look like?
It looks like a wolf. Very large though. Probably female. They're usually the larger of the species. Strange for a wolf to be out here on its own.
And 6 toes. I'll let one go. Just one. Just one arrow, that's it. Just to really drive the point home.
Aiming at the creature?
Yeah. For the hind flank, so that if I have to keep tracking this thing, it's bleeding at least.
Okay. Make me a weapon roll. What is your attitude at the moment? Are you offensive? Are you
kind of high strung, a little bit like freaked out that this thing is so close and it's not looking normal.
Would you say you're feeling defensive then?
Yeah, probably.
Okay, so you should see in your attitudes there, you can tick defensive, and then click the roll there next to attack that says -2.
Yeah.
Okay, so
yeah.
the arrow sort of hits the path and clatters along. The creature yelps anyway as the arrow lands near it, and you see it. If it was trotting before, it's cantering now. You know, it's making its way, jumping from rock to rock, running from the from you. You can collect your arrow, and I would say you feel like the creature won't be coming back, at least tonight.
I gather all the stuff up and make the trek, lumbering along through, put all my stuff back, and definitely make a note to tell somebody about this, because it's not good.
By the time you arrive at the village, you know it's late enough that most of the people of importance will already be at the inn.
Okay. Oh god, it would be the inn, wouldn't it? He's gonna have to pull his usual trick the moment he gets near the inn because he doesn't trust it. He reaches into like a small pouch and has these small, tiny bound like pieces of cloth, and he takes and puts one in both ears and pulls up his hood before he goes into the room.
Just before you put the cloth wadding in your ear, you see Kaiden approaching the inn also. And I hope you two have a dialogue, because I need to take a bio.
we can make something up.
All right, yeah.
Fine.
You sure?
Fine. How are you?
Doing fine.
It's fine. Going in?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Sure.
Are you just gonna answer the questions that I say with a yes or a no?
Sure.
I've seen you around town a couple times. You live here or you?
I live outside of the town. I come in.
You're a
Oh,
beast, right?
I hunt occasionally.
Yeah.
You haven't seen anything weird coming into town, have you?
Not that I know of. It's been pretty quiet. I don't really go outside of town though. You'd be better off asking someone else.
Good. Just stay in town, okay?
Why you notice anything?
Bad things are up in the woods lately.
Bad things is a very generic thing. What? The bandits, beyond creatures, there's a lot of bad things in the woods.
You would know a lot about bandits, wouldn't you?
Everyone knows about things. Everyone's heard about things. It's not exactly. You don't have to study it.
Wolves, if you must know. Wolves. Weird looking wolves. Don't trust it. Just stay in town. It's better.
Weird looking how?
6 toes. Very big.
Yeah, that's concerning. That's concerning. How many you think?
Only saw the one. They
Okay.
don't come this close?
It's not that bad. Could be worse.
Could be. I don't trust it. Be careful.
You trust it more than you trust the.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Not my business. I won't pry. After you. Kaiden
You
is very
have to,
noticeably smaller.
He has to walk like sideways almost because of the door. But yeah, he goes inside.
Kaiden is dwarfed by all
I
these.
see the ground the whole time.
Inside the tavern, you can see Seamus is making good on, as he always does, and is quaffing whiskey by the flagon, where most usually drink it by the cup. This is normal, though. Nothing surprised there. Eliza has a cup of wine, and the Vasela, Gudatica. I had her name earlier. Gudatica. She is standing sort of behind the bar with a mug of ale herself. Kaiden, Reese, welcome. What can I serve for you today?
Stew. Usual.
Stew, aye. Kaiden?
Just the whiskey. It's fine by me.
Aye.
How deep are they into their drinks? The mayor and the Demorphin.
The mayor is in fact the inn keep.
Oh.
She's not that deep into her cup. Seamus is as deep as Seamus is, constantly.
Fair.
Eliza is Eliza again. Even in her cups, she maintains a sort of air of casual sobriety. What I'm saying is, she pulls a good sober even when she's hammered. Tomac is sitting talking with Seamus, and he too has a cup of whiskey that he is drinking. And when he spots you come in, Kaiden, he sort of does the usual nod as you come in. Could mean join me. It could mean hi. It could mean any number of things, really.
Kaiden will take it as a join me, and after getting their whiskey, will pull up a stool or something. Not like super like intrusive into the conversation, but just sort of nearby.
At the back of the bar, sort of it's like an open kitchen onto the bar, so you can see behind there is a stove, and there is a large pot that's just boiling away constantly back there. And when you ask for Stoories, she goes back, takes a large ladle, and just fills a bowl straight from the pot. You can imagine this thing's probably been boiling there for weeks.
I'm not surprised. It's probably the same thing that I had the last time I was in.
You know that she adds to it regularly. You know, adding new vegetable things like... I have a gremlin in here with me now. This could become interesting.
Oh, okay.
She sort of addresses the room once you've all settled with your meal and drinks. Today... No, hang on, that wasn't her voice. Today, we're going to be heading out to the fire in a wee bit. I've had word from Ostabale. There's to be a visitor arriving around this time.
What kind of visitor?
A traveller passing through.
Kaiden gets noticeably more uncomfortable at the mention of Ostabale.
Those of you that have been in the military, we might be looking to you more recently. I mean, Reese and Kaiden. It's been a while since Seamus or Tomac were in the military. It could be good. She's planning a trip further into the Moroim. The king asked me for guides. People to escort her. People who know the Highlands.
Why are they going into the Moroin?
That's not our business.
I'm going, it might be a bit of mine to...
Mine too, to know what I'm looking for.
Anyway, Seamus, Eliza, Tomac, go out to the fire. We'll join you shortly. Come here.
She pulls you in close over the bar, looks again at Yuri's and says, "You sure you don't want to drink?"
Me?
Suit yourself. You must have heard about the Fiondas attacks in the nearby villages. They're getting worse and worse. Well, the king thinks that there is something upsetting them high in the Highlands. Seems to be spreading down south. I don't know why we've been safe here, but I'm waiting any day now to hear about strange beasts lurking near the village.
About that.
Oh?
On my way in, I ended up tracking something. 6 toes, looked like a wolf. Too big by itself. It got close. Real close.
Have you ever seen a Fiondes, Reese?
Personally, no. But this thing looked like it, if I had to guess.
Interesting. Usually those things bring the spirit of fire with them. They're all anger.
I chased it off, for what it's worth.
Interesting. I mean, it could be the Fiondes. They've been known to be cunning creatures. You know, I've even heard that some of the spirits of the elements, the vagrant ones, will even take on, like, fallen soldiers' bodies and have enough access to be able to plan an attack like a soldier would. They say that's what happened up in Guider. Anyways, that's nay here nor there.
You don't think they were scouting?
I mean, it's possible. It is possible. But I believe that this Varigal visiting is going to be heading into the mountains to try and find out what's causing all of these Fiondas to rise up. We've got Tomac, we've got Seamus, and we've got a number of other strong, able-bodied men and women in the village. We'll be extra defensive. Come now, let's head out to the fire.
I'll follow.
I would give you more opportunity to talk, but you know how it is. I'm supposed to be out there speaking for these sort of things. I just wanted a quick private word.
Alright.
Hang on, let me just let my own Fiondas out of the door.
Kilby is a Fiondas.
Indeed.
And a flirkin.
And a flirkin. Yes, indeed a flirkin. I know. I understand that reference now. I saw that movie. Captain Marvel. What a great movie. I cried. So as with the fire outside, Eleanor, you'll see this dark hooded traveler make their way all the way into the village. Do you stay on the rock and watch them pass, or would you head to the village?
When I can tell they're clearly going straight to the village and not like, tearing off on some other mountain path, I'll start heading up the same way. Knowing that this means something unusual.
Okay. So as you head into the village, you can see a couple of the Vasail's helpers building a fire in the center of the village. They're sort of like laying down stones. It seems the Vasaila has something planned for this evening. This would be after Kaiden and Reese have gone into the inn.
Okay, knowing that, I'll take a peek around and look for Seamus, and if I don't see Seamus, I'll just go towards the inn, knowing that's the center.
As you head towards the inn, you see Seamus and Eliza appear, heading also out towards the fire. Tamok is with them. Tomac. And Seamus spots you and hobbles his way over. Well now, what did you find out there?
Well, Seamus, I saw something. I saw something really weird. I wasn't really expecting it. But like one of those comics what you were talking about, the little wee lights going through the wood.
Aye, you saw your first one. Oh.
Yes, it took me to the rock. There's someone coming up there now and up the road.
I already know about that. This is going to be an exciting time for you.
Oh?
Do you think the Kamoch led you towards the traveller that'll be visiting me?
Oh yeah, I thought I was drunk at first. I didn't know they could drink whiskey, but they went straight there, and I was like, why take me to the rock? I don't really understand, but yeah. Yeah, it took me right to the traveller.
And there's no question about it. You must go with them, Ken.
Go where? They're coming here. I'm already here.
Wherever they need to go. That person, if they're not your destiny, they play a part in it.
Oh. Well, but... Alright, I really think this is the time for it. I got nothing else really going on other than you. I don't really have too many friends here. They don't really like the people talking to the spirits,
Well, it's about time anyway, Eleanor. This is my village. Your village cannot have two Demorphins. It's about time you started to find your own space.
You're getting a little jealous, Seamus.
Aye. Maybe I am. What of it? I've already got a Demorphin. This is Eliza.
That's fair enough. I guess. But Seamus, I can't lie to you, I kind of like a second dad. I'm gonna miss you a wee little bit.
He sort of like sniffs and tussles your hair. He's like, "Shut up, kid. Don't get not in public now. Come on." Listen.
Right.
And he takes another deep quaff from his flagon of whiskey.
Let's see what they've got to say tonight. But be ready, because assuredly, this involves you.
All right, then I got one more question, Seamus.
Aye.
Where the hell did you get the whiskey?
From the inn, of course.
All right, and if they brought it out yet, I think I'm going to be a little desperate for it. And with that, Eleanor is going to go grab herself as much whiskey as she feels reasonable.
Yeah, you perhaps could burst in on Kaiden, Reese, and Godatica before they leave the inn, and Goda, as she is now affectionately known for short, will happily go and fetch you a cup or flagon of whiskey, whatever you request. They know how you are with Seamus, so what would you request?
Flagon.
A flagon of whiskey. Out you go. It's and by flagon, it's probably like a pint and a half with a lid sort of tankard.
Thanks, Goda. Sorry to interrupt your meeting with the boys.
Don't you worry, we are pretty much done anyway. But I do need to get outside. Vrees, Kaiden, Eleanor, you all know each other. I'm gonna go get ready. Come outside as soon as you're ready. And she will head out.
All right, that's nothing mysterious at all. All right, I'll just take my whiskey, lead through here. I'm so sorry to interrupt, and I will.
Don't worry about it. It's we are done. It's nothing major.
Yeah, there's a lot of nothing majors happening tonight at all, right? All
Yeah,
right.
You heard of they're expecting someone from Osterville.
Yeah, there's a traveler. I don't really know much else. I'm here just to grab their whiskey. They're
apparently heading up into the islands for they'll figure out what's causing the Fiondas to attack. They want the military focus coming with us. Come with them.
Oh,
You probably shouldn't have mentioned it.
this sounds quite dangerous.
Why not mention it? They were gonna hear it anyways, probably.
Aren't you a little worried, both of you?
Probably.
Oh, all right.
Could be worse, to be honest. So I'll take what I can get.
Okay, that's one mentality to it, I guess. All right, I'll see you outside. Okay. And a little bit of a panic after hearing that. Eleanor's gonna rush outside back towards where she
very lazily raises a cup and cheers, and then walks out after you.
So as you guys walk out, we'll pan across to Eris. Eris, as you see your stepbrother talking with this hooded figure, would you try and make your way over? Would you try and hide yourself?
Yeah, I think she would try and sneak her way over and see what she could hear.
I mean, they're reasonably near the edge of the town, and as I said earlier, the forest encroaches on the town very quickly.
Yeah.
So, if you would like to sneak through the town, sneak through the woods nearby, you may.
Yes, please. Should I roll for how sneaky I am?
You can describe your sneaking to me instead, if you wish.
Yeah, I think I will describe the sneakiness this time. So I think when you watch Eris kind of disappear in the trees, it's very clear, like, this is where she grew up, right? Like, I think she may have to be tested to be sneaky in, like, a city, but in the forest like this, she knows how to disappear. This is where she's, like, practiced how to do this kind of thing. So she just kind of, like, fades into the tree line, using kind of the largest of the trunks as cover to hide behind, and you can watch as her feet kind of step very nimbly around different branches now that she's actually paying attention to where they are. As she kind of creeps closer, and she'll get just close enough that she can start to hear them, but avoid being, like, on top of them.
Totally. So as you get closer, you can hear the two talking. Or rather, you can hear your stepbrother talking, and the other person kind of nodding. And you know when it seems like someone's kind of maybe monologuing at someone and just assuming their side of the conversation, perhaps mansplaining a little. It's kind of like that, okay? He's being very... dominant isn't the right word for this conversation. It's very awkward. He is sort of, oh, yes, my family owns all of the estates around here out near the farms. If you want to get up to the Morim, then you'll have to go through quite a bit of our land. I understand the mayor said earlier that you're going to be heading north. Well, I mean, of course, I'm sure we could see fit to get you some kind of guide to head north. You know, it's quite difficult terrain going through the Morim. You'd have to be a local for some time before it really comes natural to you. And she's just kind of nodding, and clearly you can see, just from the cut of her jib, that she's been a Varigal for at least 5 years. You can see knotted string and stuff like that, which usually is used to mark achievements and different things. You can even see there is a king's coin on one of her, she keeps like medallion things, and you can see one of her trophies is a king's coin, which shows she's worked for the king before. And your brother's laying it on thick.
And I think once Eris has realized that, like, it's not like her brother knows why this Varigal is here, she'll probably step out of the woods kind of directly behind him.
Hey, and you know, actually, one of our farms up towards the north there could use checking on. In fact, my own sister, Eris, is probably due to go and check on that farm. You know, just
You
check the
talking about
darn...
me?
Eris! Hi!
Hello.
Sort of looks at the visitor, and looks at you. Have you been there long?
No. Have you been here for a while?
I'm really just getting acquainted with this lovely new person. I was just telling them all about our estates and the farmlands to the north that they'll have to pass through to get up to the moor,
I
right?
imagine this lovely Varigal probably has places to be.
Yes,
So maybe we can walk and talk.
I am due to meet the sailor by the fire, I believe.
And probably the entire rest of the town at this point, just to give you a forewarning.
That's normal. I bring news of the city for those who are interested in listening. She sort of side-eyes your brother again.
We vary here amongst our ability to listen, but I'm interested to hear what you have to say.
Yes, well, I'd better come along as well. You know, I'm of great import to the village, of course, as is Eris and everyone else of our family. Very important family. You might have heard of it.
I'm sure she's heard all sorts of things.
How rude of me. I introduced my sister Eris. I'm Robert. And you are... I'll introduce myself to the village, probably. Right, yes.
You should do that.
I don't know what you're both waiting around for. Come on, let's get to the village. And Robert starts, marching away, kind of picking up on the awkwardness now. A pair of big green eyes sort of look up from under the hood, and you see this Varigal smile at you before turning on heel and following after.
And Eris would smile back and just roll her eyes and kind of follow along, probably in step with the Varigal, letting her brother kind of do what he does.
As we all approach the fire, the sailor takes stand on a stool, as they have been known to do at solstice festivals, at harvest time, and during the winter festivals. Funny how there's always more winter festivals, as though they trying to make the dark times seem a little shorter, perhaps. Well, I'm glad you've all gathered here. This is a Varigal who brings news from the city. Now, like always, I don't want you all bombarding her with questions. I'm sure she has her own news, and I'm sure she'll spread it gladly. She hasn't bought anything to trade. So if you've come to trade with the Varigal, you've wasted your time. You might as well just listen to the news, alright? There's no trading to be done today. The official caravan will be coming along closer to the solstice, just like normal. Now then, Varigal, a pleasure to meet you. Would you like to stand on a stool, or are you good? She just steps up to the fire and pulls back her hood. Beneath the hood, you see a pale countenance. Hair that is sort of long but curly, like distressed curls that sort of flow down her face like almost like seawater, or like hair that's been in seawater. Like I said, large green eyes and a face that is pretty. She is built of reasonable stock. Her body is covered in leather armor, and the hood seems to be a part of that armor. Eris, you may appreciate how a hood and armor like that may help you slip into the shadows. Kaiden, you may notice that that those sleeves are quite broad, indicating that perhaps she has a stronger arm under there than initial appearances may notice. That, or she's wearing a lot of padding, perhaps expecting a journey into the Roim. For the first time this season, I would like to have a private brain chat with everyone. Who would like to go first?
Oh.
I'll go first. Since Paige is shaking her head.
Okay, so other players, please remove your headphones.
There's just so much tension.
Hello, Eris.
Hello.
As you look at this person, who says to the crowd before she begins talking, "My name is Hope." Hope is a fitting name. You are immediately... You can appreciate how this person is not only attractive, but also they seem interesting. You're not sure if it's the conversation with your brother, or the sneaky-looking armor, but you immediately feel something towards them. Something like familiarity. I didn't hear you.
Have you put your headphone up or?
There we go. So I just see her as kind of intriguing in some way, and I feel more like in tune with her. Maybe is the right way to put it. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I mean, she's definitely not like you, but she's certainly interesting and has some similarities, certainly more than anyone else in the village.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Is this enough to make me feel like trusting of her, or is it just like I want to know more?
As you sort of soul search that, it's interesting. You do feel a certain kind of trust towards her. Perhaps not immediately with your life, but you feel like you could trust her to pass you an arrow if you needed one.
Like she'd have
Or
my back.
maybe stand at your back if you needed her to. Yes.
Okay.
She certainly seems capable. Any other questions?
I don't think so.
Okay, let's get everyone back then and see who wants to go next.
The signal worked.
The signal did work. The beacon was lit. We have headphones on. So, who would like...
Oh, sorry. I was watching Kelly's face. I need you to know the entire time. Like, when I was, like, towards the end, I was like, what is Kelly's face?
So, who would like to go next?
I'll go ahead and go since I had interrupted anyway.
Sure thing. So, everyone else, please remove your headphones. Eleanor, as you look at this person, some people might find her attractive, but you are not one of them. There's something about her that is just off. Not only that, you are sure that you can see about her person signs that she has been interacting with, or perhaps even dealing in some kind of Data Mortis, the Magiance that is surely killing the magic that you only just got experience with this afternoon. I think it's safe to say that you're not necessarily straight away irritated or upset with this person, nor that you don't like them, but you feel like you might like it if you were.
Eleanor, like, will take a kind of like a little step back. I mean, this is a person she's been told she's going to have some type of destiny with, maybe. And she doesn't like it. She's a little nervous. She's trusting Seamus, but she's a little hesitant to be gung-ho about it.
As she steps forward, she says, hello everyone, my name is Hope. And as she says Hope, you see that little camogue, that light blue camogue, just appear on her forehead for just a second.
Would I take that as a sign? I mean, knowing Demorthian, like, knowledge and mysticism, would I take that as a good thing?
Well, just earlier today, Seamus said that the Camogue will lead you to something. And when you asked him, did it lead you to something good? He said, oh, yes.
All right. Eleanor is ready for something a little different.
Yeah, but again, that doesn't stop you from feeling, if not mild... I think you may even... It's close to this being group chat, because there's something about this person that just perturbs you.
All right. Eleanor would just take it as, like, her typical heart and mind. Something's not quite matching up, which is kind of the norm for her, but she'll trust Seamus. but feel kind of gross the entire time.
You have any other questions?
I guess what I would hope what I take her is like, does she look like she's a nice person or a good person? Or does she just seem kind of like untrustworthy from the start, besides the fact that I don't really, I mean, like inherently trust her, but does she look like kind of, shady in her body language?
She looks kind of innocent in her countenance. But she's wearing dark leather armor and a dark hood and travels in the twilight. What kind of normal person does that alone?
She's kind of weird. All right. Seamus said good things. Destiny. Gotta be my own Demorphin. I can't just go on his coattails the rest of my life. All right. Okay. Yeah. Eleanor's ready.
Okay, should we get everyone back then?
Mm-hmm.
Looks like we got a new friend.
Okay, so that's 2 out of 4. Whoever goes next also decides who's last, so... And thank you for the host, Fly Bandito. You want to go next?
Volunteers tribute.
Volunteers tribute. Perfect.
Oh God, let's go.
Okay, so everyone else, please remove headphones for the second to last time. Are we all gone? Yeah, I think Mackenzie's gone.
Yes.
Reese. This person steps forward towards the firelight. They pull back their hood and say, "Hello, everyone. My name is Hope."
Okay.
They look like a very able-bodied fighter. They look like they could hunt with great skill. They... You don't know why, but without even seeing them in action, you feel like they're going to impress you. They are attractive.
Okay.
They have a long chain of trophies on their side as well. They're clearly quite capable.
And Reese is of that age where it's kind of expected. He's definitely feeling intrigued by her. And why, well, I mean, not questioning necessarily why she needs protection to go out there, but thinking gonna have to keep up with her maybe rather than her with him.
Would it be fair to say that Reese would want to take a bit of a closer look? Sort of hawk in with your eyes?
Yeah, definitely.
You can see just behind her hairline that there is a scar that runs across her cheek towards her ear. It looks like it might have been a claw at some point. Something from perhaps an attack on her travels, or maybe a blade from a bandit on the road somewhere, but she's almost certainly seen some action.
Well, yeah, she's got all the trophies.
Oh, yeah. However, she does have a quite tanned skin. It's probably fair to say that she spent a lot of time in the southern lands, and that she may genuinely need guides through the Morroim, which is, of course, full of snow and wind and sleet, and perhaps you could be something useful to her.
He's definitely feeling a little bit more apt to the challenge now, a little bit more. Before it was like, all right, gotta bring another person out into the woods, whatever. But now it's more kind of like, okay, all right, this isn't all bad anymore. He's definitely intrigued.
So,
Yeah.
do you want to be a
I
mage or a
I might
fighter? I can show you how
add
to be a
that
shield.
it's suddenly very easy to not think about that wolf out in the woods.
Yeah,
This
it's
is
definitely a lot
Quite
easier.
distracting.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, Justin, for that resub. Do you have any questions?
Is that like all she says, or is there anything else that she mentions, or?
She looks like she's about to say more, but I'm going to say that when
Oh,
everyone's got their headphones back on.
Okay. Does she have any weapons on her?
Good question. As you look to her hips, which are, wide, and there's a distinct curve to her waist, you can see there is a curved short sword on one side, which is rare amongst the Tolkien people. They usually prefer axes, but on her other hip there is indeed a hatchet with a flat blade on one side and a small spike on the other.
Okay.
Not
So
a
she's
good enough spike to go mountaineering with, but...
No, but she's not built for the north, probably.
Mhm.
Can't think of any other questions. I'm distracted by the beauty.
Distracted by the beauty. Yep, that's fairly accurate. Okay.
Yep.
So, shall we get Mackenzie in then?
Yeah. Take that off.
Pretty much, yeah. Thank you everyone for coming back. It's Kaiden's turn, so we'll see you again in a second.
Heck.
Yep. Hi, Eleanor. Thank you, Eleanor. It's Kaiden's turn.
I got nervous. I was like, wait, really? Is this a time?
Yeah, no, we're gonna do Kaiden next, so thank you. Okay. Kaiden. As you look at this person, you see a younger woman wearing the armor that you recognize from your time with the Ophidians.
Fucking hell.
Perhaps she merely took the armor from a from one of the brigands, not knowing who they are, or maybe she is in fact a part of the Thieves Guild. Although when her eyes brush over you, there is no recognition there, so she must certainly at least have been a new addition in the last 3 years. She doesn't recognize you.
That's relieving.
As her eyes pass by you, you notice they are quite large and could be seen as pretty. You're not, like, madly in love with her. She's not the most beautiful person you've ever seen, but she could be pretty. She steps forward into the fire and says to everyone, "Hello, everyone. My name is Hope."
Kaiden nods. Doesn't really say anything. Still, he's confused and very concerned, and he's just absentmindedly rubbing his shoulder.
Rubbing his shoulder. Okay. You have any questions about her?
She's wearing full clothes, right? So she's
Yeah.
bundled up, so you wouldn't be able to see that even if she could.
Yeah. She's definitely wearing armor, but it's quite form-fitting. You can see she keeps herself in good shape, but also that she is quite shapely.
How old does she look?
Perhaps 20? Maybe just younger? She's from the south, so it's hard to tell. Her skin is slightly tanned. And by that, I mean only very slightly tanned.
Like your definition of tan.
Yes, like a person who's not pale blue anymore. Yeah.
Okay, what for the weapons she's carrying? Are they what kind of weapons are there, but specifically, are they long range, short range? Do they look more akin for the combat I was used to as a bandit, more hit and run, or are they more like longsword and facing off in battle?
At her hips, you can see a sort of short-bladed, a short
Looks like we got a
curved
new
blade.
friend.
Thank you, Ravin, for the raid. Welcome in. You can see a short curved blade that is sort of like a small scimitar or saber, which is rare in these parts. Most of the Talkyrian people prefer axes.
Welcome to the
At her other
Academy,
hip, there is an
Scratticus.
axe, a small hatchet with a flat blade on one side and a small point on the other. Not a point designed for mountaineering, but perhaps for small amounts of perhaps excavating archaeologically. It could also be it's not a throwing hatchet, but it could be thrown. You may notice as well on her back that there is a length of wood that is perhaps some other kind of weapon.
For the first time in a very long time, Kaiden actually lets himself sort of step outside of Kama's shadow, and actually just I tried to get a little closer to Hope. That was her name, right?
We're not going to go so much on actions here. Save the actions for when
Oh,
everyone
okay.
can hear. But
And never mind.
I'm
Sorry.
interested in what you're thinking.
It's a lot. It is initially a lot of concern. A lot of, oh God, they found me,
Mm-hmm.
or oh God, they should know I'm here. And if she's still part of the Ophidians, then this is going to be very bad for me. But if she doesn't know about what I did, then it's fine. And she seems nice. She doesn't seem like she wants to harm anyone. She seems like she is doing this for good, and she is very pretty. Very pretty. That's a lot.
Okay. Good. Do you have any more questions before we get everyone back?
About her?
Or yourself in your mind?
Her armor, how worn does it look?
Her armor
long?
looks quite fresh. Not recently made, but certainly recently maintained. That could mean that she just shined it up before she came into the village, or it could mean that she acquired it fairly recently. As you look closer at her, because you've asked me a fair few details, you can see a slight scar under her hairline that moves back towards her ear. Perhaps a claw or a knife, but she's almost certainly been in combat recently.
Okay. And then I think two more questions. One, do I notice the king's coin?
Yes?
Okay. Do I remember any ties with the Ophidians and the king in Ostavale?
No.
Okay. Then, how bad is my worry?
If she is an Ophidian, she doesn't know you.
Okay.
You can keep going under your current ruse, but it's possible that she's hiding that she recognizes you.
Okay. Then that is it.
Okay, let's get everyone back. Welcome back, everyone. So, as she steps forward into the firelight and says, "Hello, everyone. My name is Hope." She begins to talk about the news from Osterbale, that they've finished building the last of the aqueducts to make the city safer, and that they may bring some of this knowledge out to the outlying towns, which may improve life out here, especially for the farm people. However, she says on the back of that the last school of the Magiantists
has been closed in Osterbale. And that the current king wishes for us to return back to our traditional roots and to follow our Demorphan guides. She looks to Seamus and smiles and says, you guide your people well, and the king appreciates that. He said to bring commendations. I am here to combat the Fiondas attacks that have been increasing. Hang on, let's get into character voice. I'm here to combat the Fiondas attacks that have been increasing around the borders with the Moroim, Rise, and Guider. Especially with the recent attacks on Guider. We're worried that something in the Moroim is causing the Fiondas to become more restless. I need guides. I don't know the Highlands. I don't know them well at all. And whilst I can hike through woodland well, I haven't got the experience to track through deep snow and harsh mountainous terrain. I need equipment, I need advice, and I need companions.
I'll be happy to go with you. I step forward.
And Eris stands up.
Reese is muted.
Yeah, Reese, you're muted.
He raises his hand and he goes, I, and just lumbers forward. He doesn't say anything else. He just kind of stands there awkwardly.
Well, I mean, thank you. I didn't expect so many volunteers so quickly. 3 of you should be plenty. And Eleanor, Seamus, nudges you in the ribs hard.
Seamus, there's someone else talking. They already have the 3.
Make yourself known, lass. Make yourself known.
Magic is really pointy with the whiskey. Alright, I might be able to help you a little bit up here with our bits of magic.
Ah, excellent. You're an Ionthan?
I am. I've been training with Seamus.
I would be honored to have one such as yourself come with me. I really respect your people and everything you do. I once was going to train as a Ionthan myself before I became a Varigal.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, I guess we'll join you.
I don't plan to leave until tomorrow. Tonight I'd like to take a rest at the inn. Enjoy your company. If I may. I've told you the grand news from the city, but I'm sure you all have questions. And I'd be willing to answer them. I also brought some post with me from those of you who have family on the villages on the way up. And you can see she goes into her pack and pulls out a post bag. She just hands that off to one of the other young but not so well built women in the village, who takes it and starts like handing out letters for different people. People react to the letters with different emotions. Some are happy, others are sad to receive bad news about perhaps family members passing, or someone after a while, after the post comes out, and says, is there no news about the village to the east, near the waterfall? Sorry, friend. That village was victim to the last Fiondas attack. I tried to pass through there, but everything was burned down. Everything. Nothing left. You're sorry. They look sad for a moment. So,
sorry.
No, the 4 of you are to be my companions. It'd be good to get to know you over a cup of wine.
Right. Before you go, real quick, is that a mail from the Hale family?
The who family?
The Hales.
Hales. And the
young woman sort of like is looking through and sort of shakes her head.
Right, that's fine.
Drinks.
I
Drinks.
Drinks.
There's really only one place to go.
Well, I mean,
Gestures towards the.
do you have anyone
don't
here
know.
that plays music or anything? It's awful somber out here.
I don't know. Do you really like the sound of a bagpipe?
I mean, anything's better than nothing.
We kind of only really play that in the morning. It really gets rid of a hangover really quick if you listen real good. But in the meanwhile, maybe we could find someone who could help with a little bit. I don't know about Reescated or Edders. Do you play anything?
Hang on, I sort of play. Let me just check with Guratica if it's alright. And she exchanges with Guratica for a second, and then turns to you all, and she begins a song after a short while. You can tell she's singing for the whole village, but she's mostly singing to the four of you. Perhaps this is her way of trying to put you at ease. And she sort of looks to each of you and starts in a high sort of key and come nary a glen and water go by. I'll travel afar to find a pair of brown eyes. I've traveled so long from north to south for whiskey and wine and a nice puckered mouth. And she sort of picks up a little bit, and she draws from her back a wood instrument with strings, which you may have mistaken for a bow at first, or perhaps some kind of magiantist weapon. But she begins to play a tune. She stops singing, though, so that each of you may have a conversation. I hope you don't mind my singing.
No, it was fantastic.
It's really good.
You've got quite the voice on you.
I'm no bard, really, but Some-
Sell yourself short.
it can usually get me a bed somewhere.
Well, I can see why.
You would think as a Varigal you wouldn't need help finding a bed to stay in.
I've travelled through Guider. Especially in the temple cities up there, they're not as welcoming as you might think.
That sounds like you've had quite the life of adventure.
I started young. Her eyes twinkle when she says that.
I'm right
Oh,
impressed.
young. Oh,
Sorry, the two of you stumbled over each other there. You don't need to be nervous. You can talk to me. It's alright. I can play and talk at the same time. It's no bother.
go ahead, Caden. And elbows him.
I was saying I was right impressed. Starting out young.
She sort of curtsies whilst playing.
Kaiden blushes a little. Itches his shoulder. Left shoulder.
Where'd you learn to play?
Honestly, I picked up the instrument early in my travels. The Varigal who taught me about traveling said it was often useful to learn an instrument, just in case people didn't have so much respect. Even if people don't give you a bed for playing or bringing business to their inn, some will throw a gold coin your way. As your Dow at least, because gold coins don't exist.
Gold coins. You really are traveled.
Aye, they use different currency on the continent, I'm told.
Right.
I've never met a continental, honestly. That was just me bragging.
Well, You could have me fooled.
Sorry, you there. I've introduced myself, but I don't know your names.
Oh, right. Did one of you want to go first?
I'm Eris. You met my brother earlier, the overly chatty one. And if you haven't met a Continental yet, I'd be happy to introduce you to Curisto before we leave.
Oh, you have one of the Continentals out here. That's interesting. I probably shouldn't though. The king wants us to stick to our traditions, and I'm easily intrigued.
We have that in common. It's why I spend a lot of time at Curisto's myself.
I can see we'll have many a interesting conversation. Eris, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Pleasure to meet you.
Alright, well, I guess we'll keep it going. I'm Eleanor.
Eleanor.
Yeah, Eleanor is just kind of what the name I was given when I was born. I don't really know why, but it's a name.
Hey,
Not
it's
too bad.
pretty.
Oh, thanks. It's about the only thing I've been given naturally that's bony. I can't really sing it. I can't really play. I just kind of talk to the rocks, I guess, now. But am I? Maybe I'll become one of those dirt people out there talking to dirt too.
You talk to dirt. I mean, that's interesting.
I talk to a lot of things. Sometimes I might talk back. You don't really know.
Okay. Well, that's interesting.
Aye, yeah. It can be.
She sort of like physically turns towards either Reese or Kaiden, like, okay.
I don't mind her. She's trained to be the Morphin, so they go up in the Highlands and they talk to their stand-in circles and stuff.
I honestly, it does quite impress me. I used to, dabble. Easily intrigued, like I said.
Well, I can't say exactly the same, but you are quite the intriguing person, so perhaps you've got my interest. I'm Kaiden, by the way. Kaiden Hale. Nice to meet you. I'd shake your hand, but I wouldn't want to stop you playing.
I appreciate that, thank you. Kaiden, that's very forward of you. I'm a little taken aback, but sure, I'm sure we'll get used to getting to know each other.
I hope so. Reese, you want to say hello?
Hi.
Strong of arm, but quiet of word. I can respect that.
She sort of looks you over, looks at your attire.
A hunter, are you?
Came to town. I don't come in often.
I'm sure that your skills will be very useful when we get to the mountain.
I'm good at tracking.
Well, that's good. Do you think there'll be many beasts up there?
Definitely.
I was kind of hoping that the cold might make them all, I don't know, sleep or something.
I saw a wolf today. Kind of.
Wait, what?
Have you seen a Fiondas before? Or, you said you saw the village attacked and burning.
She stops playing when you say the word Fiondas.
I've seen a Fiondas. Seen a couple, in fact. Sometimes they look like pure fury. Just existing. I once saw a creature made almost entirely of fire. spreading itself throughout a dry forest, grabbing any person or creature it could find, crushing them in its flaming hands whilst it burned them to death. Other times, they take the form of beasts. Most memorable was a boar, size of a bear. If I swear, 6 tusks on each side. And as she started talking, it's like she's somehow gravitated towards the fire, and it's illuminating her, and suddenly the whole village seems to be listening. When it growled, it was like pure muck or mud or that flux stuff that the Magians used. Just seemed to pour from their teeth, which were broken. Parts of its flesh were missing, so you could see the bone and sinew. It rampaged through the woods. I was with a small group who had agreed to help me. But in the end that night I had to run. I don't know if any of them survived. Creature was probably 6 feet tall and 8 feet long. I saw it run into a tree, get over. Fiondas, certainly not something to play your fiddle to. Sorry, I've turned the mood sour. Let's drink up our cups and get some sleep for the night, eh?
Yeah, I don't know if we can get any sleep after that story. Maybe we will. I'll grab the whiskey. Go get whiskey.
So I will leave this up to each player. If you feel like that story was enough to affect your dreams, you can make me a mental fortitude roll. Which should be there somewhere. There we go, mental resistance, just below the word sanity.
Oh.
If you feel like your character doesn't need to do this, they don't need to do this. Was that an actual roll? That's the question.
No, there was a double plus in that one.
Oh.
Yep, I see it.
Oh God.
However, there was not in that one.
That one is correct. Concerning but correct.
Lay it on me.
Okay, is that everyone rolled? Eleanor and Reese. Interesting. So Kaiden and Eris, you guys can head to bed. As can Eleanor. Eleanor and 11 is plenty enough to have sweet dreams. And we'll start next week with Reese's Nightmare. How do we feel about the first episode, everyone?
I love it. So good. I'm so happy.
It's so fun. Everyone is such little sweet beans. I want to keep them all.
Now the pain's starting early.
I'm looking forward to next week.
Yeah. I love the private chats. That was my favorite part.
Yeah.
Right? Oh my god, that's so tense. It's so tense because you don't know what they're saying. Goes on forever, but somebody's talking forever, and you're like, what are they talking about?
Until the first time it's like one of us has a private chat and no one else does.
Oh yeah.
I will tell you now that things like nightmares will be a private chat. So at the beginning of next week, it will just be me and Reese that starts, and then we will go on from there.
Yay.
Obviously, this week we were introducing a lot of the concepts of the world through different lessons and things. I tried to keep the same theme as the book, where it's all taught like lessons. And I hope you got a good feel for the background. Next week we start getting into the campaign proper. We are going to head over to the Discord, everyone, where you can where we can discuss this campaign. Please check out the closing links. The second one is the Discord link. It will take you to the social chat, and in curriculum you will find Tact and Diplomacy, where I imagine myself and some of the cast will spend some time. We will be back next week at the same time for more Tact and Diplomacy. We'll be back tomorrow with another 3 brand new shows, including Apotheosis by Mackenzie. So there's that. And also we have a D&D level 1 viewer game, which if it's not hosted by the D&D channel this week, it's due to be hosted the week after. So very exciting. Very exciting. Until next time, everyone, keep on evoking emotions, and yeah, have fun. Bye.